She's the silence.
I do makeup though.
Oh, guys, we're recording, by the way, because the way that Zoom works, it starts recording right when I start the meeting. So just so you know. Yeah, Max is here. Let me see if I can see him. Oh, he turned his video off. Show yourself, Max. I'm here. Woohoo. Cool. Hello there. Show yourself, yeah. No, I won't have any anonymous participants here. All right, cool. So earlier today, we did the back end. We completed the back end, essentially. So now what we're going to do is jump on over to the React side of things and round out the whole application, right? All right, so let's go to our project folder, cities. Here we are. I'm going to close some of these files. Oops, I think I need to share my screen. Share. Desktop. Okay. Let's go back here, and I'm going to close some of these files so that we have a nice clean workspace. And then I'm going to open up a terminal here. So I still have my server running in one terminal, which is fine. I'm going to create a new terminal so that I can create my React project. So we'll say npx create, oops, that's kind of small. Create React app, and then we'll just call this client. Okay. So while that's happening, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to make. So we have this basic CRUD application, right? We'll have a page where we can display just kind of a list of all of our cities. We'll have another page where we can create one. We'll have a page where we can update one. And then finally, we'll have, wait. Oh yeah, we'll have a page where we can just like view the details of one as well, all right? So we don't really need a delete page. We can just simply have a, you know, say a button on our list, right?
You said that you have to open up the app. That would essentially send you 3,000.
Yeah, because by default, it's going to be running on port 3000. Mine might be running on 3001 because I think I have something running on 3000. But anyway.
The point is match that listing port to whatever you have.
Well, as long as the port that React is using is not the same as the one our backend is using, you're not really going to run it. Okay, so that's still going. And then let's talk about what other libraries we're going to include as well. So we're going to need routing, right? We're also going to need Axios. Anything else? So this is on the front. Okay, but I'm just talking about on the front end. So all of our backend stuff is basically taken care of. We'll install one more thing for it later. Yeah, exactly. All right, so happy hacking. We're good to go. So let's install the other packages that we need. I'm going to go into my client. And then inside my client, you guys will notice that we have a completely different package.json, right? This is just strictly for the React application. So that's why I CD'd into the client folder. This is where I want to install, whoops, what was I doing? Down here, I want to go npm I, and then we'll say Axios and @reach/router. Okay. And while we're waiting for that to install, I'm just going to go inside our source folder and we'll create our views folder here. Okay. And then I'll go inside this app.js. This is, of course, where we're going to do all of our routing. So in order to do routing, I need to import a router, right? Router from reach router. Guess it's still not installed yet. And then I'll come down here and just strip out all of this. Okay, so we're going to do our router here, And then inside there, this is where we're going to have all of our individual routes, right? So let's see if this is done. No, it's not. Wow. Okay then, so we'll just start building our main route. We'll go inside the views folder here, and I'll create a cities, I don't know, we'll call it cities list. Okay, so inside here, I'm gonna need some things. Of course, I need to import React every time. What else will we probably need? You guys had to guess. Okay, yeah, but also I'm gonna need some other things from React, right? I need state, and I also need use effect, because when we first load up this page, we have to go grab all of our cities. All right, so let's get those guys. Use effect, use state. Okay, and then as you mentioned, we are also going to want Axios. Okay, let's create our component. So we'll say function cities list. Do I need to take in any props here? No, because yeah, there's no information coming in. This is all me. I'm gonna have to make a request to get it, right? Okay. And then here we will just export default cities list. Okay, so that's good. I'm gonna create a cities variable here. So I'll say const cities and then set cities equals the result of calling this use state function against an empty array, right? We don't have our cities just yet. All right, and then I'm gonna have this use effect call going on as well. So that will look like use effect. I'm calling that function. I'm gonna pass in what? You were gonna say a promise or something. Pass in a promise. All right, we got our callback function, and then I'm gonna add this array here, which is telling React what? Good, and by passing in an empty array, what am I saying? Yeah, only do this one time when this component loads up, right? Okay, so we'll say axios.get, and I need to pass in here http://localhost, and my backend is running on port 4000. This may be different for you guys depending on where you have your backend running. And then I'm going to say API/cities, right? That will return me what? Whoa! I tricked you again. I got you again. Then, yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'm actually going to change this. And the reason why is because this is what's called a shadow variable, where you have a variable with the exact same name that you're now creating a new one in some other scope. So let's avoid that. Let's just say, we'll say returned cities. Actually, what is this actually giving us? The response, right? We have to be careful because the cities is going to be inside the response.data. I often forget this. Okay, so I'm going to say set cities here, and I'm going to say response.data, right? Okay, so we'll assume that one's going to go through without a hitch. We're just getting our data. There could be an error if maybe your backend wasn't running. So that could happen. Okay, now down below, this is where we actually want to return something, right? So return some JSX. I want to see if this is done installing. Yes, it is. Killer. All right, so let's return some JSX. I'll just do, should we do this as a table, maybe? Right? Table. Okay. Inside my table, I'm going to have a T head element, and then we'll have a couple, or we have to have our T row. Try catch. Yeah, I meant to put that in there. Thanks, VS Code. All right. Oops. Okay, and then in here we'll have a couple th elements. Let's duplicate that down. The first one will just be name, and then we'll have like an actions column where we're putting, we'll be able to delete one. We'll have a button for that probably. Then down here, I want to have my t-body. Cool. And then in here, this is where I'm going to do my, my looping, right? Okay, so what's that going to look like? Curly braces, because it is going to be a JavaScript expression. And we're going to say what? Cities.map. Okay. And then each city that I get will actually have an ID at this point, right? So we don't really need to worry about that whole key thing. We can use the ID that's part of the city object. Okay. So I'm going to return out a t row. And then for the key, as we said, we can use that ID. So I can say city dot, ooh, would it be this, by the way? I know. Ah, I blew it. Why am I using an underscore here? Because yeah, that's how Mongo is storing the ID, with an underscore. So I need to match that. Okay, and then in here we're gonna have a couple TD elements, right? Duplicate that down. First one will be, actually, I'm gonna make the first one a link, okay? So let's go ahead and import that from up here. We'll say import link from, yeah, we'll just surround that with a link component. So at reach router, cool. Here we'll go link. My 2 is going to be what? Yeah, it's going to be the route. So our route will just be /cities. And then I also want to concatenate the ID onto that, right? So I'll say plus city dot underscore ID. Yeah, in our case, it's going to be either 3000 or 3001, whichever one it's going to give us. Yeah. How does it know that? Well, I guess in the same way that any app pretty much knows what its root is, right? It's going to be relative to whatever, wherever you're running the application. So it'll just go, if we were to go back to the root, it would of course be, you know, that /. But yeah, I mean, it's not really anything that you're ever going to have to like worry too much about. But yeah, if you have some other kind of questions about that, we could look at it later. I don't want to give you an answer that's like totally unsatisfactory. Yeah. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's put the city name inside here. Okay, and then over here, I'm just going to say we're going to create a couple buttons. So we'll have one. Whoops. One just to view the city, and this is just so that we can practice using the navigate function. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't really need to have 2 ways to get there, but whatever. And then we'll have another button here. I'm going to create some space in here. We'll have another button to delete. Right. Okay. So that looks pretty good. Let's see if we can get this guy loaded up. So go back to my terminal here. npm start. And then in the app here, I haven't yet loaded this up, right? So let's import our cities list. Cities list from /views. Oops. Cities list. Okay. And then inside my router, I'm going to say cities list, and our path will be cities. Like that. Okay. So it's asking me if I want to run on a different port. Let's see which one it gives me. 3001, indeed. Any idea why I'm getting nothing just yet? Hopefully the answer jumps out at you. I don't have a route for this index at all, right? So we're actually seeing nothing. If I wanted to redirect, which I'm going to do, let's import that redirect component from reach router. Okay, so we'll go import redirect from @reach router, and then down here I'm just going to say, oops, something was going crazy. Down here I'm just going to say redirect to equals /cities, and then we'll say from equals /. So meaning that my root route will just automatically redirect us to /cities. And then something goes wrong here. Object. Wow, this is kind of a funky looking one. Have you guys seen this before? What is the actual error here? Okay, so we tried to send a HTML request. Ah, good. I was thinking this error would happen, but I forgot that it was on the way. Okay, so what's happening here is that we're trying to make a request to a different website, essentially, right? Our front end is now running on port 3001. Our back end is running on port 3000, okay? So this is what's called a cross-origin request. And normally a browser won't let you make this kind of request unless the server gives you sort of an okay saying, yeah, anybody can make a request from this server. So we're going to add another library to our backend that will allow us to make these calls to it. Okay. Let's go into our, I'll just open up a new terminal here. And I will npm I cores, okay? And what that stands for is cross-origin request security. CORS, yep. All right. So we're going to make one small change here to our server.js. Just go like this. I'll require it up here. Oops. So let's say rec cores. Okay. And then we'll do another app.use up here where we're saying app.use cores. By the way, what would happen if I put this down here? I put it underneath that. Would anything change? I just flipped that.
You did the JSON stuff before
Yeah, probably nothing. This should actually be acceptable. What if I move it down here, though? There. No problems now? It's probably may not be immediately apparent, but what happens is you've already tried to go through our routes. Our routes are going to try to return something out, but guess what? They're not going to have this attached to the header, so the front end is still going to reject it. So we need to make sure that we include this a bit higher up. Like that should be fine. Okay, I'll save that. Let's try to reload this again. Okay, cool. Now it's working. So cores came to save the day, right? Nice. All right, so we have another page to build. This is the actual detail page for a city. This should be pretty easy, right? Let's just make that. So close this guy here. Inside our source views, let's create city.js. Okay, what do I need here? pretty much all the same stuff because we know we're going to have to make a request to go get this individual city's data, right? So I'll say use effect, use state from React, and then I also am going to as well need Axios, right? Okay. Let's create our function here. Function city. Are we going to need to take anything in on this one? Yes. What? We're going to need the ID, right? Yeah. Without that, we won't be able to go and get the right city, right? So I'll come in here and I'll say const city set city. And we'll say use state against what? What?
Promise.
Yes, those are right. Promises, callbacks, something like that. So what's the initial state of our city? Blank. Be like an empty string.
Well, let's call that function city.
I'm just going to go with this. I'm going to say we literally don't have it. It's just null, right? Okay. Okay. And then we're going to do our use effect call, right? Use effect. Okay. Passing in what? Callback function. Okay. And then here we're going to specify empty array. So inside that call, let's do our Axios call. We'll say axios.get. So this time it will be HTTP localhost 4000/API/cities. And then I want to concatenate that ID onto it, right? So I'm going to say plus ID here. Okay. That's going to return what? Promise. I promise I'll give you that city back. So here we've got our response. Wow. And then we'll say set city against response.data, right? Okay, that looks good. Now down here, am I just going to like render this out as if I have the city right now? Or should I be a little more careful about that? Yeah, why? Yeah, if it's loading, if I don't yet have this city and I start trying to render out city.name or whatever, well, city's value is null, so I can't say null.name. It's going to crash the application. And you guys have seen those gnarly errors, I know, in your work. So I'll just do a little check here. I'll just say if city equals null, return loading, ... Okay? And you can go get as fancy with these loading things as you want. You could have like a loading spinner or whatever is more suitable. Yeah, I don't need any curly braces here. I mean, we've gotten used to doing them, but I wanted to show you guys a different way too. Yeah. All right, so otherwise what I'm going to return is some information about the city. So I'll do return, oops. We'll drop in like an H1 tag with the city name, right? So I'll say, oops, got to do that in curly braces, city.name. And then let's say I've got a P tag here. This will be city.population. You guys will see that little red line down there. What's it telling me? Yeah, exactly. So it's telling me you have not wrapped this with one parent. So I'm going to need either, you know, a div tag or some fragment tags or something like that. So I'll just use fragment tags here. Okay. And then we also have an image for this. So let's go ahead and render that out. That'll be pretty nice. Let's say img, oops. Source will be what? City.image URL. And then if I want to do an alt tag, I can set that to be city.name, right? Okay. Have you guys also bumped into this, like where you not self-closed an image tag and then it'll start growling at you? Yeah, so normally you could do that in regular HTML, right? We don't have to make it self-closing, but here in React, we do have to make everything self-closing. Okay, so that's that. Finally, we need to make sure that we actually export this function because I almost forgot to do that. Export default city. Okay, and then let's wire it up in our app.js. So here, we'll bring it in, import city from views/city. Okay, and then we'll put a new route in here, city. Path is going to be cities/what? :ID. Very good. Perfect. Okay, and let's see if our link will work at this point. So if I click on this, hey, bam. Sweet. Wow, maybe my picture, maybe my image is a little on the large size, right? All right, so we could change that. We could just say width equals 400. Uh-oh, yeah. You're absolutely right, because the app reloaded, but React didn't really know. It's like, well, you told me to only run this thing. You don't want to do it based on the state, because every time the state changes, it would cause that use effect to run again. Yeah.
In this case, you didn't change it.
Let's see here. Connection refused. What did I do wrong here? HTTP. Network error. Did my server stop running or something? Jeez. No, that seems to be running. So if I'm back in Postman, where was that GET request I made for a specific city right here? Seems to be working right. I must have typed something wrong. Did I type something wrong? Okay, why was it? All right, sometimes I guess we just shouldn't ask why. What did I do wrong? Like, I don't know. All right, so we're good to go. We got this details page working, right? What else do we want to create here? A what? Yeah, we probably want like an add city thing. So let's create some links in our app.js so this looks a little bit better. So in addition to importing router, let's import link. And then up here, we'll just have some links for the different places that we can go, right? So link to, this will equal cities. And that will just be our cities. We also want a link, as Albert was saying, to maybe a route where we can create a new one. So this would be like cities/new, add a city. Okay, and there we go. Whoa, no space in between those, huh? Thanks, React. Manually create a space here. All right. Oh, geez, now it's doing that again. That's pretty odd, isn't it? Connection refused. Something for me to sort of debug later on and find out why that's going on. But if we refresh, at least we're getting what we want. And I can click on this to go back to our cities, right? And this should work. Perfect. Okay, cool. So now we just need to create and add a city component. So inside our views, let's create a new file called new city.js. Okay, what are we going to need here, do you think? React, of course. What else? Use state. Do we need use effect? Yeah. I guess not. Why wouldn't we, though? Are we retrieving any data on this route? No, all we're doing is we're just going to render a form where they can create something, right? All right, so let's say from React. We also need what else, though? We don't need reach. Well, actually, we might need something from reach route. That's a good idea. We'll get that in a second. So I don't need a link, but instead of link, I'm just going to pull out this navigate function. Because after I've created a city, I want to just navigate back to, well, we'll navigate somewhere. Maybe we can navigate to that new city specifically. So we'll import navigate from reach router. Okay. And then what else am I going to need? One other thing, right? Axios, because I'm going to make that API call. Axios. Okay, let's create our component here. So function new city. Are we taking anything in? Nope. And then I'm just going to export it before I forget. New city. Okay. So inside here, I'm going to have to create some state, right? What should I do? Yeah, we could do form state set form state equals use state, and what am I gonna pass that? An object, okay, that has my initial values, right? So we'll say name blank, population. Do we want this to be like a number field? Yeah? All right. Well, I guess if it's going to be a number field, I don't know. Let's see. Sometimes it's hard to tell. We'll say image URL is also blank, right? Okay, so that's pretty solid. So down here, I'm just going to create this little form, right? We'll return some JSX, and then inside there, let's create a form. Okay. I know I'm going to have some sort of an on submit, but I'll leave that alone for right now. Let's create some inputs. So I'll say div, and then inside this div, I'll create a label, and then an input. Whoa, kind of weird looking. How about that? All right, and then our label will have name. Our input will have some different things, right? So we'll have name is going to be name. What else do I need? Value, right? So where am I going to get the value from? Form state dot name. Okay, and then on change is going to be some function that we haven't yet written, right? So let's go ahead and write that real quick. So if I say function handle change, what's that going to take in? An event, good. This time it's not a callback or a promise. One of those rare occasions, right? All right, and what are we going to do now? Good. Set form state. Okay, so what am I going to pass in there? My form state is now an object, so I have to make sure that I spread across everything that's already in there, right? So that I don't mess up any of those other inputs. And then what's going to go here? Yeah, so let's make it, we'll make it a little more explicit through some destructure. We'll say const name value, and I'm going to set that equal to event.target. Okay, so now we have both the name and the value. But can I do this Would that work? Let's have some hands. Who thinks that this will work? Nobody does. All right, one does.
Kind of.
2 people do.
I'm gonna raise my hand when it's not working too.
Why might this not work?
It's not an object, right? You're not creating-
Do you need name and brackets?
Yes, we do need name and brackets because this is a variable right now. Otherwise, it's going to treat this as just a key, a regular key that's a string, right? It would literally change name every single time instead of the other ones. Okay.
So it's basically just event.target.name in brackets and then colon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now I've just done this to shorten it so that it's kind of like a little bit more clear what's going on. Yeah.
If the key is a variable, name brackets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of the things that we kind of talked about a little early on, which is that dot notation doesn't work for you all the time, right? There are certain cases where we need to use these brackets. Okay, so that handle change looks pretty good. Let's drop that in here. Chagny. Okay, and then I'm just going to duplicate this down a couple times because we know we're going to need a few of these. Oops. So let's go boom, boom. Okay, so the second one is going to be population. And this will be population. And then I got to change this name as well. Okay, we said we wanted this to be type number, so let's, oh. I'm not sure that, we'll see if this works right, but we'll just say type number, right? Okay, and then down here, we've got image URL. So I'll just highlight that, image URL. Okay, finally, I'm going to need a submit button, right? Button, submit. And then what's the other thing I'm going to need here? I'm going to need an on submit, right? So let's create a submit handler. Let's say handle submit. That's going to take in what? An event. Good. First thing I want to do inside this function, I want to prevent the default. The default would make another HTTP request, right? Dot prevent default. Okay, and then what else do we want to do here? So I'm just going to attach this here while you guys are. Oh, right away, just go ahead and navigate.
Yeah, take that back.
So, well, our form state should actually be in sync at this point, so we're actually okay there, right? Okay. Axios. Good. We're going to do an Axios post request, right? And then the URL will be HTTP, whoa, localhost 4000 API/cities. Okay. And then the second argument here that I'm going to pass will contain the data, right? Well, mine is just going to be, I made a post request to cities. So if we go back to our backend routes here, you'll see I've got this post request right here to cities. That's where we're going to create new ones. Yeah. That's going to be used for this one that we're working on right now. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So the data that we're going to pass in is going to be what? Form state, right? Okay, and that's going to return what? A promise. So I've got my .then here, and I'm just going to go ahead and navigate us. What do we think that we're going to get back from this? Yes, which has what data in it? It's going to be the city itself, because that's what we have our backend doing. Our backend was just returning out the newly created objects. Okay. So I'm going to navigate us to /cities, whoops, cities, and then I'm just going to concatenate on this new city.id that I have, right? Is it like this? No. Underscore, because that's how Mongo has it, right? All right. So that looks pretty good. Let's make sure that this is set up here. It's not, so let's import it. Import new city from /views/new city. Okay, we're good to go. Let's drop it down in here as well. I'm going to put it up above here so that it doesn't get mixed up with that one, right? Because I don't want new to be interpreted as an ID. Okay, so we'll say new city path equals cities/new. All right, so let's see if we can go there now. If I go add a city, great, we got our form here. So let's try to add one. Let's try to add Glendale again, even though we already kicked it to the curb. It was 203,000, right? And then the image URL I had somewhere up in here. This one, yeah. I'm gonna try to copy this without, okay. I was trying to avoid actually opening that because sometimes that happens by accident. Okay, so let's drop the image URL in there. Let's click submit. Uh-oh, it sent us to undefined. Why was that? So when I made my post request there, let's see what we got back. We got back this thing, this object that had an underscore ID. What did I do wrong? Navigate to /cities plus city._ID. Oh, I keep forgetting. That is, stop it, VS Code. We're getting back actually a response, right? God dang it. I keep forgetting this. Okay, so it's going to be response.data._ID, right? There we go. That should work. Okay. We know that it got created though, so if I go back to my main cities component, well, I see it there, and then I can go to it, right? Okay, cool. How can we make that little view button work? This guy right here. the same as what? All right, so let's do this. We're just going to add a little on-click handler, right? On-click. This needs to be a what? A callback function. So I'll say I don't need the event in this case. I'm just going to go navigate to /cities, and then I'm going to concatenate that ID. So where am I getting the ID from? City right here. So I'm going to say city._ID. What are you angry about here? Comma expected? You're right, I didn't. Okay, so let's make sure that I actually have navigate. Yes, I do. Good. All right. Save that. Let's see if this is working. Cities. Oh, gosh. Why is React treating me so poorly? So I click on view. The view button's working, so that's solid, right? Let's set it up so that we can delete a city, right? That'd be kind of nice. So inside the cities list here, let's do this. Let's create a handle delete function. handle delete. What might I want to take in here? Yeah, I hear event over here, ID over here. I'm going to take in an event, and we'll see why in a second. Or not an event, sorry, an ID. Okay. Let's come down here, and for the delete button, we'll do an on click. And I'm going to have some sort of an event here, but I'm not even going to use it, right? I don't care about the event. Handle delete. And what am I going to pass to it? City dot underscore ID, right? Like that. All right, you guys feel okay about this? I'm just writing an inline callback function so that I have access to that ID. Otherwise, I would have access to the event. Not very useful in this case. Okay, so now that I have access to the ID, what can I do? Yes. Dot delete. I'm going to make that to HTTP localhost 4000 API / cities, and then I need to concatenate on this ID that I have, right? Okay. Dot then. What do I want to do in my success callback? Okay, yeah, we could display a message, or we could just change our list of cities so that it no longer has that one inside it, right? Okay, so let's create a little anonymous callback here. And then inside here, I'm going to do set cities. I'm going to pass it in cities. Actually, let's make it a little more readable. So, oh, shoot. I'll just create a variable here. We'll say new list, and we'll set that equal to cities.filter. So what's my filter function gonna say? Exactly. So we're gonna iterate through our cities, and we're gonna keep it if the city._ID does not equal this ID that we just took into our function, right? No, not really, especially since you guys, you'll be running these on your own local computers. But yeah, that's kind of a good question. It's like, well, why are we avoiding another HTTP request? Well, because we can. There's not really a need to send another request if I know that I just successfully deleted one thing, right? Okay. All right, so that looks pretty good. Let's see if we can successfully delete Glendale again. Glendale's had a tough day here. Cities, okay. Let's try to delete it. Gone. Right? And then if we refresh, still gone. Cool. Everything working great. Only thing we don't have is what page now? Update. Great, another form, right? Well, yeah, what a pain in the butt, right? Another one. Okay, so let's create this city, what do we want to call it? Update city, whatever. Okay, and actually to make my life a little bit easier, I'm going to try to grab all of the stuff inside here, and we'll just make some modifications, right? Okay, so let's just paste that in. And then I know I'm going to need use state. In this case, I may need something else, right? What is it? Use effect, because now we need to go retrieve the information for this form, right? Good. So say use effect. Okay. Navigate is probably fine. We can leave that. Now, what about for this form state? What do I want to do there? I'm just going to actually change this a little bit. So I'm going to say city, set city. Okay, and then we'll do use state against null, right? Okay, handle change is probably about right, only I just need to change this here, right? Instead of form state, we're now calling it city. Okay, and then in handle submit, yeah, indeed it does, thank you. Nice catch. And then in handle submit, we're going to make a, no longer a post request, I'm gonna make a put request, right? And this time, I'm gonna make it to where? I wanna just concatenate that ID on. Where am I getting the ID from? I'm gonna take it in as a prop, right? This component needs to know which city am I modifying. Make sense? Yeah, I'm gonna change this too. We could get away with not doing it, but it would be kind of funky to have, you know.
No errors.
Right. So we'll call this update city so that it actually matches with the file name. Yep. All right. So we've got our put request. We don't want to pass in form state anymore, right? We want to pass in the city. Okay. Then what else do we want to do? Cities navigate. That looks about okay. I don't think we need to make any changes there, right? Handle submit. And then I'll just change these across the board. So instead of form state dot whatever, we'll just make sure it's city dot whatever, right? Okay, one more thing we have to do. What's that? We got to do our use effect to actually go get our data, right? So I'll just do that up here. Use effect callback. Okay, let's do axios.get. Local. You always need the protocol in here, which kind of bugs me. 4000 API / cities / whatever the ID of this one is, right? Returning what? Promise. Okay, so we're going to get back our response, not the city directly. And I'm going to say set city response.data. Wow, I wish VS Code wouldn't just like slap stuff all over the screen like that, because it makes it kind of hard to see what's happening. Okay, so that's solid. Am I done down here though? Do I want to just return this form out when the thing's first loaded? What's the problem with that? Yeah, because right now I'm saying city.name, but city is null, right, in the very beginning. Okay, so I'll just do a little check in there. If city equals null, oops, turn loading, ... All right, should be about right. So let's take a quick look here. Let's go back to, oh, maybe we should make an edit button, right? Kind of forgot about that too. All right, in fact, let's just change this so that our edit button takes the place of this other one. Yeah, instead of this view one, let's just change this to edit. And then we'll just go to cities /ID, and then we'll just concatenate onto that edit. Okay, so now I need to bring this into my app, right? Import update city from /views /update city. And we'll do it, where am I going to put it? I'll put it right in here. So we'll say update city path equals cities ID /edit. And let's see if we can get there. Great, got to refresh it. So let's click on edit. Good, that looks solid, right? Now if I want to change the population back to 110,000, which I think it was originally, Go like that, and boom, we're done. A full CRUD app in the mix, right? It's very, very pleasing to have that completed like that. All right. We wrote a lot of code today, so where would you guys like to look at? What was the trickiest stuff? The form? The back end? We weren't even doing the back end this afternoon, right? Except for that chorus thing, we did add that. That was a new addition. Let me see if Max is still here. Where are you, Max?
I'm here.
Max, are you here? I don't know. Oh, he's chatting. Chat. Oh, cool. All right. Just wanted to make sure I don't lose you. All right, cool. So let's take a peek here at our code. I'd say probably the form stuff was maybe like the trickiest, right? So let's have a quick look here. Io, what's happening in the first 3 lines here? Mm-hmm. Yeah, why didn't we need to use effect again? Yeah, we didn't need to retrieve anything in this case. All we're doing is we're just showing them a form, right? Good. Inside my function here, what's going on, Francis? Okay. What are we doing to get those 2 things? What are we doing to get these? Yes, boom, nice. Yes, great. With what? So what's this thing in between curly braces? No destructuring. That's just an object. Yeah, exactly. Good. Nice. All right, Albert, handle change. What's happening here? Good. Okay, so the target will be what? It will be the input, correct. Good. Whichever one. Yeah, exactly. So if I left off the ... form state, what would happen? If I didn't spread across that like that. That's absolutely right. Yeah, exactly. So we'd end up with this object that now only has 1 key value pair in it, which is no good. All right. Good. Solid. Rogina, what's happening in handle submit? Because there's nobody here. I have to. Okay. Good. By default, what kind of requests would that have made if the form just submitted this normal way? It would have been a GET request because I didn't specifically put method equals post, right? Yeah, exactly. All right. Go ahead. Good. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not accessing all the cities right here, right? I'm making a post request. That means I'm trying to create one. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. So this should have all of our new city information. Good. Boom.
That is resolved. So this is to interact with cities/.
Exactly. Good job. Nice. I don't know if we want to talk about that JSX. That's pretty straightforward, right? Okay. What else do we want to talk about? Let's talk about our routing real quick and make sure that we get this pretty well. Okay.
He already evaded
The timing of that was well done. I have to give him credit.
He was running too.
Yeah, he's like, oh, let me bail out right about now. All right, let's do 17 through 25, and then we'll just call it because we've gone on pretty long.
The first two on 17
Yeah, so those are just going to create A tags for us, right?
Yeah.
All right.
And then the first one,
The list page, right? Good. Okay. So this is one router component right there that I'm rendering. And then inside there, what do we have? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's like a detail page. Right. Nice. Excellent. What if I went to a route that didn't even exist inside here? What would you see right now? Well, it was a trick question. Won't be nothing, right? What will we see? No. Nope. Ooh, nobody got this. The two links, right? Those will still be there because they're outside of the router. Yeah, exactly. Let's test that out and make sure that we're right. So if I just go bunk, there we go. We're right. Cool. Excellent job. Questions before we break? Questions, Max? Can I add a path to what? Path to the router. Why would we? Oh, you mean like have it so that we didn't need to prepend all of these with cities? Yeah, you could do that. You could do that. Yeah. So what you would do, there is subrouting, but I don't necessarily want to go over it because it's not something that you guys will be tested on. But if you check the reach router docs, it does tell you how to do nested routing. It is possible. Yep. Okay.
So it's not as straightforward as just adding a path to the
It's you. No, I don't know that you can add a base path. You might be able to actually. I haven't looked at it in a while. Reach router base path. Darn it, you guys sucked me into it. Base path string. The path to base all relatives path. Oh, okay. Maybe we could do this. All right. Used internally, but also helpful. Okay. Should we see if it works? Okay, so if I go base path equals cities, then I should be able to just take all these off, right? And then this would become index. Oh, shoot, then my redirect would have to be, oh, shoot. That would mess up my redirect, huh?
You even have to like redirect it.
Well, the thing is, I still do want to redirect from that index route back there. Well, let's do this. Let's just test it to see if it actually works, and then I'll just change it back because I'm kind of curious. So if I go here to cities, okay, that seems to work, and I did save it. So there you go, base path. Base path for the win. Not so bad, actually. Now, this isn't really technically nested routing. You just had some routes inside here. Nested routing would be like if one of these components also had a router inside of it and some routes inside. That would be nested routing. So that's pretty cool. But it won't really help us for our little redirect situation. So
would you be able to have two communicating routers in that two different sets?
Yeah, I suppose you could do that. Let's see if we create another one. Let's see, router down here, and then I'll just bring this redirect down here. That's a decent idea. So if I go here, is our redirect gonna work? Uh-oh, what the heck? I don't know, something went wrong. What the heck? It just crashed my browser too. Or at least I thought it did. Yeah, what happened here? The above error occurred in the redirect. Oh, I forgot no throw. Shoot.
Oh no.
It was my fault after all. So no throw means that when we redirect, we don't. It doesn't get treated as an error. It just simply silently redirects you. And now works?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. That base path was pretty killer, actually. I hadn't, yeah, that was a good question. I hadn't looked at that in a long time. All right. I think Max was saying something. Where is he? Max, where are you? Chat. I'm okay, thanks. Oh, well. Okay. What up? This is a lot of fun, isn't it?
Let's get to start chatting.
This is great.
On like a Sunday.
I like this. All right, thanks. Cool. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up because we've been meeting for a long time. Thank you guys for joining us. And yeah, I'm gonna stop the share here and then I'll end the meeting. Boom. End meeting for all. Thanks for